Well, we did do other rehearsals for other spot gigs, so I could be off by a year.
Okay. If we could bring up Exhibit 15, please. If you look at the first text, Mr. Wicken, it's from Mr. Depp. It says, "I'm good, just got a fucked finger."
Right.
And the second text?
That's from Dudes, yeah.
And do you remember what you would have been concerned about?
Just the fact that somehow his finger got cut off, and he's got doctors around him that are supposed to be making him sober, and everything's supposed to be better, and it wasn't.
Did Mr. Depp ever talk to you about that, about sobering up?
A little bit. He just said, AA wasn't his cup of tea. Didn't believe in a higher power.
He didn't believe sobering up was his cup of tea?
Well, he just didn't believe in a higher power. If he was going to do it, he'd do it his own way.
Do you remember any specific incidents of anger with Amber?
I mean, he would talk about frustrations or whatever, and we would try and talk through it, but it wasn't as much anger as it was like confusion and sadness and why is this not working, But no, he would never, very rarely would it be a specific reason why.
And did you notice any increase or decrease in Mr. Depp's anger when he was drinking or on drugs?
I didn't notice much of a difference,
Did you ever see Mr. Depp doing drugs with other bandmates?
Yes.
Did you ever see Mr. Depp doing drugs with Joe Perry?
Yes.
And what types of drugs did you see them do?
They were doing cocaine.
And how do you know they were doing cocaine?
Because I was in the room.
And around what time was that?
It was pretty late.
What year?
It had to be 2016 because that's when we were on the road.
Have you ever seen Mr. Depp do cocaine before 2016?
Yes.
And when was that?
Probably 2014 was the first time I saw him do it, because I was quite surprised, because when we were kids, he hated this stuff. But then after that, when I kind of said, "Why are you doing this?" he kind of hid it from me for a long time until, I believe, in 2016.
And do you have any recollection of steps Mr. Depp took in December 2015 to try to assist in decreasing spending?
I don't know all the details about it. There was obviously another lawsuit with that whole thing. But I do know leading up to that time, he needed to slow down on spending. I heard about that.
Did Mr. Depp tell you about that?
Yeah.
What'd he say?
Time. Just something about the business manager and, been spending too much and I need to slow down or do more movies or whatever.
Have you been involved in Mr. Depp's any of Mr. Depp's prior lawsuits?
Yes, I have. I was part of the first one against the management group, and then I was deposed in the lawsuit with his lawyer, Jake Bloom.
Did you testify? Do you remember testifying about drug and alcohol use in that by Mr. Depp in that deposition?
Yes.
And what was that about?
I was at Johnny's house. Things were going good. We were hanging out talking. And I guess Waldman came in and Johnny introduced me. And I just remember Waldman saying, "Hey, nice to meet you." And Johnny had told Waldman that I was part of Unison Music, which was named in the lawsuit. And if they needed any paperwork from me, that I had all my paperwork and tax returns. And Waldman turned right He looked me in the eye and just said, "You got any shit on the Mandels?" And I said, "No." And that was it. That's the last time I saw him.
And you also testified in the Bloom case. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you testify to Mr. Depp's drug and alcohol use in that testimony?
I believe I did.
How did Mr. Depp respond to your testimony?
Not happy.
Not happy. And what's your relationship with Mr. Depp now? What happened in the last 4 years?
Honestly, I don't know. Somehow I started to feel a distance. End of 2017, we had a gig, and I saw him, but he was really kind of distant and kind of fucked up. And like he wrote me this weird text saying I stabbed him in the back and bad-mouthed him. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he wouldn't explain it. And pretty much haven't seen him since 2018. Didn't even get to have the old bro argument. Just cut off. Can't get through to him. No return text. No nothing. No email. My daughter even got married and he ignored it. So I think there's some people behind the scenes talking shit about me because everybody always tried to position themselves, oh, who's the best friend and who's this, that, and when I was just there to be his friend. And I think there were some lies and bullshit said about me that he actually believed, which is surprising. And I've yet to have the conversation with him to go, what are you talking about? I know that he wasn't happy about my testimony, but I wasn't going to lie.
And did you ever try and help Mr. Depp?
Oh, yeah, I tried.
Did you ever try and help him with substance abuse?
I mean, I got him with a therapist, but never tried an intervention or nothing like that. No. We would just talk about it. And he would say, oh, you know, I'll be all right, I'll be all right. And I said, well, you're not all right. And shit would just move on to the next conversation.
Did you observe anyone else trying to help Mr. Depp with substance abuse?
I mean, I know Christy, his sister, was always concerned with his well-being, whether it was substance abuse or not. And everybody, I think, deep down inside was, but like I said, the people on payroll won't really say much. They'll try, but what, you know, they don't want to lose their job. And I'm not saying they all fall into that category, you know, but it's a strange thing around people like him. Everybody wants something.
And I think today you testified to seeing a bruise, but is it fair to say that you have no knowledge one way or another of violence?
Not personal knowledge, no.
You mentioned before that Mr. Depp has pushed you away in the last 4 years. Is that right?
Yes.
Has Mr. Depp ever admitted being violent to you?
No.